Yeah, she cheated while I was in the hospital. I found out the day I came home. The morphine drip had kept the worst of the pain at bay, but nothing could have prepared me for what awaited when I finally came home. 3 weeks in the hospital after a motorcycle accident that nearly killed me, and I'd spent every conscious moment thinking about Sarah's face, how it crumpled when the doctor told her they weren't sure I'd walk again, how she'd squeezed my hand and promised we'd get through this together. Now, standing in our apartment doorway with my new crutches digging into my armpits, I realized promises meant nothing. The smell hit me first cologne that wasn't mine, something expensive and cloying that made my stomach turn. Then, I saw the wine glasses on the coffee table. Two of them, one still bearing the faint imprint of lipstick. That wasn't quite Sarah's shade. She always wore coral. This was darker, more burgundy. Or, David! Sarah's voice came from the bedroom, high and startled. You're, you're home early. The hospital said discharge would be afternoon. I got out at 10. I called back, my voice steadier than I felt. Surprise? The silence stretched like a taut wire. I heard whispering urgent and low. Then, the unmistakable sound of a window sliding open. Our bedroom window, the one that led to the fire escape. The one that stuck unless you knew exactly how to jiggle it. Sarah appeared in the hallway wearing my old Columbia t-shirt and nothing else her hair mussed in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. Baby, I'm so glad you're home. I was just, I was cleaning, getting everything ready for you. I looked past her to the bedroom doorway. Cleaning, right. Hey, how are you feeling? Here, let me help you to the couch. She moved toward me, but I held up a hand. Who was he? The color drained from her face. What I don't, there's no one, Sarah. I shifted my weight on the crutches, feeling every single one of the 17 pins holding my leg together. I can smell him. I can see the wine glasses. And unless you've taken up parkour, I'm pretty sure I heard our bedroom window open. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Like a fish gasping for air. It would have been almost comical if my world wasn't crumbling. It's not, it's not what you think. No, then tell me what it is. I moved past her into the living room, each step sending shoots of pain up my leg. The doctors had said to take it easy, to not push myself. They hadn't mentioned what to do when you come home to find your fiancé has been warming your bed with someone else. I lowered myself onto the couch. Our couch, the one we'd bought together at a garage sale, and spent a whole weekend reupholstering. The burgundy lipstick on the wine glass seemed to mock me. Sarah perched on the arm of the chair across from me, tugging the t-shirt down over her thighs. David, I was lonely. You were in the hospital for so long, and I didn't know if I'd walk again, if you'd be the same. The words burst out of her like water through a dam. The doctors kept talking about traumatic brain injury, about personality changes, about how our life might be completely different. I was scared, okay? I was terrified, and Mark was just, he was there. Mark, the name tasted bitter. From your office? She nodded, tears streaming down her face now. Of course it was Mark. Mark with his CrossFit body and his stupid man bun. Mark, who'd always looked at Sarah like she was a meal and he was starving. How long? It doesn't matter. How long? She pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself small. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. While I was learning to wiggle my toes again, while I was fighting through physical therapy sessions that left me sobbing while I was telling every nurse who'd listen about my beautiful fiancé who was waiting for me at home. Get out. David, please, we can work through this. I love you. I made a mistake, but get out. I couldn't look at her anymore. Instead, I focused on the engagement ring on her finger, the one I'd saved for 18 months to buy. The one she'd cried over when I proposed on the beach at sunset, so perfectly cliché and exactly what she'd always dreamed of. Where will I go? Mark has a nice place. Fire escape's probably still open. She stood swaying slightly. I'll pack some things. Take it all. The words came out flat, emotionless. I don't want to see anything of yours when I get up. You don't mean that. I finally looked at her, then really looked at her. Mascara ran in dark rivers down her cheeks. Her lips were swollen, beard burn evident on her neck. She looked like a stranger. I've never meant anything more in my life. She turned and walked back to the bedroom. I heard drawers opening hangers, clanging the zip of suitcases. I stayed on the couch, staring at those wine glasses, wondering if they'd used the good wine, the bottle we'd been saving for our wedding. 20 minutes later, she stood by the door with 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. David, Your ring. She looked down at her hand as if surprised to find it there. With shaking fingers, she worked it off and set it on the entry table. The small clink it made seemed to echo in the silence. I really did love you, she whispered. Just not enough. The door closed behind her with a soft click. I waited until I heard the elevator doors close, then let myself cry. Not the pretty tears you see in movies, but ugly body-shaking sobs that left me gasping. My leg throbbed in time with my heartbeat, but that pain was nothing compared to the gaping wound in my chest. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the afternoon sun to move across the floor. Long enough for my phone to ring 6 times, Sarah's ringtone each time. Long enough for the shock to wear off and the anger to set in. With effort, I hauled myself up and made my way to the kitchen. She'd left a casserole in the fridge with a sticky note, "For my love," heating instructions on the back. I threw it in the trash dish and all. The bedroom was worse. She'd tried to clean up, but I could see the signs everywhere. The rumpled sheets, the indent of 2 heads on the pillows, a condom wrapper she'd missed beside the nightstand. I stripped the bed with shaking hands, stuffing everything into garbage bags. The mattress would have to go too. I'd sleep on the couch until I could afford a new one. In the closet, she'd left a few things, a sweater I'd bought her for Christmas, the dress she wore to my brother's wedding, a shoebox full of photos. I started to throw them away, then stopped. Maybe someday I'd want to remember the good times before she became someone capable of this. My phone rang again. This time, it was my brother Tom. "Hey, buddy. Heard you got sprung early. Want me to come by? I can grab some pizza and we can watch the game." "Yeah," I said, my voice rough. "Yeah, that would be good." "Are you okay? You sound weird." I looked around the apartment, at the wine glasses still on the table, at Sarah's key, sitting next to her ring, at the life we'd built together now reduced to whatever she could fit in 2 suitcases. Sarah's gone. Silence. Then, "I'll be there in 20, and I'm bringing beer." While I waited, I did the only thing I could think of. I started erasing her. Her photos came off the walls, her books off the shelves, her coffee mug, the one that said, "World's Okayest Girlfriend," that I'd bought her as a joke, went in the trash. With each item I removed, I felt a little bit of the weight lifting. Tom arrived with pizza beer and his girlfriend, Melissa. They didn't ask questions, just helped me systematically remove every trace of Sarah from the apartment. Melissa even went to Target and came back with new sheets, refusing to let me pay her back. "Considered a congratulations on dodging a bullet gift," she said, giving me a careful hug. We worked until midnight, transforming the space from ours to mine. It still hurt. God did it hurt, but surrounded by people who actually cared about me, I started to believe I might survive this. The next few weeks were a blur of physical therapy, lawyer consultations, and learning to live alone again. Sarah tried to contact me dozens of times. Texts, calls, emails, even a handwritten letter that I burned without reading. Mark showed up once, full of apologies and excuses. Tom answered the door that day and made it clear that showing up again would be a mistake. My leg healed faster than my heart. Within 2 months, I was walking without crutches. Within 3, I was back at work. The guys at the construction site treated me with kid gloves for a while, but eventually things went back to normal. Or a new kind of normal, anyway. I found out through mutual friends that Sarah and Mark lasted all of 3 weeks after she moved in with him. Apparently, the thrill was gone once they didn't have to sneak around anymore. She tried to spin it as a mistake, a moment of weakness while I was sick, but people knew the truth. They'd seen them together while I was fighting for my life. Her friend Claire even told me they'd been at a bar together the night before my accident, looking very cozy. The universe has a funny way of revealing people's true character. 6 months after that horrible homecoming, I met Emma at physical therapy. She was recovering from a ski accident, working to get full mobility back in her shoulder. We bonded over our mutual hatred of resistance bands and the sadistic tendencies of physical therapists. "Do you know what the worst part is?" she said one day, grimacing through a particularly brutal exercise. "Everyone keeps telling me how lucky I am that it wasn't worse. Like, yes, I'm grateful I'm not paralyzed. But can I also be pissed that I can't lift my arm above my head?" "Tell me about it," I agreed. "If one more person tells me everything happens for a reason, I might lose it." She laughed, then winced as the movement pulled at her shoulder. What possible reason could there be for me eating it on a black diamond run I had no business being on? Cosmic punishment for your hubris? Oh, definitely. The universe saw me in my cute new ski outfit and said, "Not today, Satan." We started timing our appointments so we could grab coffee afterward. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into dinner. Unlike with Sarah, where everything had been a whirlwind of passion and grand gestures, things with Emma developed slowly, naturally. We were both broken in our own ways, both learning to heal. She didn't know about Sarah at first. I wasn't ready to talk about it, and she didn't push. But one night after we'd been dating for about 2 months, I told her everything. The accident, the homecoming, the betrayal that had cut deeper than any physical wound. That's. She shook her head at a loss for words. I don't understand how someone could do that. When you love someone, when you've promised to stand by them, you stand by them. Period. Even if they might never be the same, especially then. She reached across the table and took my hand. That's when they need you most. We took things slow. I wasn't ready to rush into anything, and she understood that. But gradually, my apartment became our apartment. Her books joined mine on the shelves. Her coffee mug, one that said, "Powered by caffeine and sarcasm," took up permanent residence in the kitchen. The day I proposed to Emma, 2 years after we met, I did it in the physical therapy gym where we'd first talked. Our therapist Linda was in on it and had the whole staff gathered around. It wasn't a beach at sunset. It wasn't grand or perfect. Emma was sweaty from her workout, and I nearly dropped the ring because my hands were shaking so badly. But when she said yes, when she kissed me in front of everyone, I knew I'd found something real. Sarah reached out one more time the week before my wedding. A long email full of apologies and regrets telling me how she'd been in therapy, how she understood now what she'd thrown away. She asked if we could meet just once for closure. I deleted it without responding. I'd found my closure the day I came home from the hospital and discovered who she really was. My wedding day dawned clear and bright. As Tom helped me with my cufflinks, the ones that had survived the motorcycle accident dented but still functional, he asked, "Any regrets?" I thought about it, about the life I'd planned with Sarah, the future I'd thought was set in stone, about the accident that had changed everything, the betrayal that had broken me, the long road to healing that had led me here. No, I said and meant it. No regrets. The ceremony was small, just family and close friends. Emma had wanted to invite Linda and the physical therapy staff, so they were there too, cheering louder than anyone when we kissed. No one mentioned Sarah, but I saw the knowledge in people's eyes, the awareness of what I'd been through to get here. During the reception, Emma's sister asked her to tell the story of how we met. As Emma launched into a hilarious recounting of our mutual suffering at Linda's hands, I caught sight of myself in the mirror behind the bar. The scars from the accident were still visible if you knew where to look. My left leg would always be slightly weaker than my right. But I was standing, I was whole, and I was happy. Later that night, as Emma and I slow danced to At Last by Etta James, she whispered, "Thank you for waiting for me. And thank you for being worth the wait." She pulled back to look at me, her eyes serious. "I mean it. I know what you went through, what it took for you to trust again. I promise I'll never give you a reason to regret it." "I know," I said, and I did. This was what real love looked like. Not grand gestures and passion that burned out, but steady, unwavering commitment. The kind that stayed by your side through the worst of times, not just the best. The next morning, as we sat in the airport waiting for our flight to Costa Rica, Emma dozed on my shoulder while I scrolled through my phone. A suggested post popped up on social media. Sarah had gotten married. To someone who wasn't Mark. The photo showed her in a white dress on a beach, that same coral lipstick she'd always worn. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, no what ifs. Just a mild curiosity about whether she'd told this new guy about what she'd done, whether he knew he was marrying someone who could smile and promise forever, while sneaking another man into their bed. I deleted the app and put my phone away. That was another life, another person. The man who'd come home to betrayal that day had been broken and rebuilt stronger at the mended places. I'd learned that sometimes the worst things that happen to us clear the path for the best things. Emma stirred, blinking up at me sleepily. "What time is it?" "Time for our next adventure." She smiled that crooked grin that had first caught my attention across a room full of exercise equipment and broken people trying to heal. "I love you." "I love you too." And I did. Wholly, completely, without reservation. The kind of love that stayed, that fought, that chose each other every single day. The kind Sarah had never been capable of giving and that I'd never known I deserved until I found it. As they called our flight, I helped Emma to her feet. Her shoulders still gave her trouble in the mornings, and we walked hand in hand toward our gate. My leg twinged with each step, a permanent reminder of how quickly life could change. But I no longer saw it as just a scar from the worst day of my life. It was proof that I'd survived, that I'd healed, that I'd found my way to something better. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find out what really matters. Sometimes the person you trust most shows you exactly why you shouldn't. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, the universe sends you exactly what you need exactly when you're ready for it. Sarah had done me a favor that day, though it took me a long time to see it. She'd shown me who she really was, saved me from a lifetime of wondering when the other shoe would drop. She'd freed me to find someone who understood That love wasn't just a feeling, it was a choice, a commitment, a promise that meant something. As the plane lifted off, carrying us toward our honeymoon and our future, I closed my eyes and let the past fall away. That hospital room, those wine glasses, that burgundy lipstick, they were just scenes from a story that was over now. This was a new chapter, a better chapter one, written by someone who'd learned the hard way what real love looked like. And for the first time since that motorcycle skidded out from under me on that rain-slick road, I was grateful for everything that had happened. Not for the pain, not for the betrayal, but for the journey that had led me here to this moment, with this woman, heading toward a life I'd never imagined but couldn't wait to live. The captain announced our cruising altitude and Emma squeezed my hand. I squeezed back a silent promise that I'd never let go. We'd both been broken, we'd both healed, and now, together, we were soaring.